I'm Natty from Natty J Crochet, and I'd like to welcome you to my first vlog. You're going to see me do a little bit of kind of a time lapse of me doing some crochet work, and I was kind of watching another video of my backlog of things I'm trying to watch through that I haven't been able to recently, but that's also okay. My current projects right now, I am working on a sweater dress for myself. I'm at the point where I am literally just doing back loop only slip stitches to get around the waist of the dress. I'm also working on a rather large now blanket that should in theory turn into a chocobo from Final Fantasy. Hopefully that is what it looks like by the time I'm done. The sweater dress, I'm using the Lion Pound of Love in Claret, and the chocobo blanket, I'm using a variety of the kind of velvety loops and threads, demi pearl or pearl yarns that feel kind of like the Bernat blanket yarns. But basically that's kind of what I'm working on, and my background with crochet I'll kind of come back and talk about in just a little bit. Enjoy. All right, so I just finished up the first video in my backlog, and I've made it through a couple rows on the dress, and that's totally awesome. But I just want to talk a little bit about my kind of background with crochet. My grandma originally tried to teach me when I was like 5 or 6, and because I was left-handed and didn't quite have the finger dexterity, I actually wasn't able to learn from her. So I ended up having to kind of just wait it out. I tried picking it up in high school and just couldn't quite understand all of the directions. And then back in 2023, 2024, I picked it up again after my husband bought me some Woobles kits. And I know there is a very mixed set of opinions with Woobles. I think they're adorable. It really helped me understand the basics of crochet, and now I feel more comfortable kind of going out on my own limb and making decisions on how to do certain things on my own. So I really appreciate that part of the Woobles. It also allowed me to see what I was doing with the video tutorials. And so that really helped me as a left-handed person be able to understand how to hold the hook or how I'm inserting into the stitches the correct way. And so I really appreciated that. I also was gifted that same year a Hirschner's Afghan blanket pattern. I don't have a picture of the blanket. I'll have to go back and post and add that in. That was a challenge for me. I really had to dig in and figure out what each stitch meant, because even though it was marked as like an upper end beginner or easy pattern, there were certain parts of it that were a little beyond my skill level at that time. But it turned out really nice and helped me really understand what I was doing for my sweater dress, which I think is really cool that I've been able to take from one project and pass it on to the next project, even though they're completely unrelated. So that's kind of where it all began for me. And then now I have coworkers who have seen some of my scrunchies, my headbands, my other crochet dress that I made for my husband's cousin's wedding to wear, which I froze in because it was like 30 degrees on a mountain. But all of those things have kind of helped me build the confidence from both my coworkers and my siblings saying, you need to start a business. So I've kind of dove headfirst into this side. I'm working on the actual business setup. That way I can actually start selling products. So right now I've still just been crocheting more for me. My yarn pile has grown exponentially, but with a giant blanket that requires several colors, has taken a lot of inventory space. I have way too much of the Lion brand Pound of Love, so I'll probably be making scraps with that as well. And then my Kindle sleeve that really got my coworker's attention, that she's like, that's such a pretty color, which I turned into a bag that we saw. The multicolor purple and periwinkle is left over from the Afghan that I made, as well as the bag that I made for my coworker's birthday was also left over from that Afghan. This periwinkle color is also part of my leftover stock. I used a good chunk of that leftover yarn to make a book sleeve that I put in our book club Easter book baskets that we did last year. And then the white is left over from when I made the granny square pattern dress. I like to take leftover yarn, turn it into something else. My bandana that I have is left over from the same dress pattern, or from the original dress project. I like to use scraps. I like to use small bits and pieces of things. If I have it, I'm going to use it. One of my coworkers for Secret Santa this year gifted me 3 of the balls of the velvet yarn from the Dollar Tree, and it actually turned out really nice as a scrunchie. That was that purple velvet scrunchie that I have. So I'm just trying to get a feel for what I do like to work with, what I don't like to work with. I know I like to work with the cotton yarns for obviously anything that's going towards heat. I also use cotton yarn for my checkerboard and tic-tac-toe board that I made, just to make it a little more durable for washing, because gifted to kids, they need to be able to be washed pretty easily. So I do love the feel of that yarn as well. And so I've just kind of been going with it. The blue bag that I made for my coworker's mom was actually just I think it was Mainstays, just like the Walmart generic, like acrylic worsted weight, in a blue kind of blend, which I think turned out beautiful. And, you know, you can check out the short that I posted about it, and you can take a look a little closer at that color. But, yeah. So I'll get back to it. I'm probably going to switch over to the Chocobo blanket just to give my brain a break from slip stitches. I'll switch over to double crochet and have to count colors and change patterns, and that'll be a little crazier than what I've been doing. All right, I'm back. Had to switch out laundry and fold what was in the dryer. I'm back now. I'm gonna put on another one of my backlogged videos from this week that I need to catch up on, and I am going to be starting in on, I believe, what is the 5th block tile of the pixel grid of the Chocobo blanket I'm working on. We're getting more complicated in the sense of color changes and all of those things. At first I was kind of just crocheting over them, but I think with the double crochet stitches that I'm using, it's hard to do, so I'm going to have to weave these all in at the end, I think. And it's a work in progress. My husband is very much aware that I am trying something new with this. Again, this pattern was originally written for corner to corner, but because I've never done corner to corner, and being a lefty, I wasn't sure how a pixel grid corner to corner would work with the right-handed directions. I scrapped the idea, and now I'm just basically doing 2 rows of double crochet to every basically pixel, and doing 3 double crochet stitches. So basically a 2x3 block of yarn is going to be my kind of pixel, which I think is looking very nice. So like this set of navy right here is basically 1 block, and so I think so far it looks okay. Obviously you're seeing the ugly side because I'm going to be starting over here, and it's just kind of a little bit of a mess, but go ahead and ride along for the video. I'm probably going to take my lav mic off while I'm crocheting just so I don't catch it, and because this part I'm probably just going to mute and put some overloop music on, because I don't think anyone probably wants to hear about Ancient Aliens Debunked, because that's my next video I have to watch in my backlog. Thank you, Mini Minuteman Milo, for getting me hooked on debunking pseudo-archaeology and pseudoscience, because apparently that's what I'm interested in nowadays. So kick back, relax, pick up your crochet again, and I'll see you after a while. Alright, so I got through that hour-long slogfest of Ancient Aliens debunked with the mini Minuteman Milo Rossi over there. So I got through an entire whole set of 2 rows, so 1 pixel block row essentially, and I started on the next one, but my brain is swimming and I also know I have some laundry else to finish up. But again, I'd like to thank you for crocheting with me, knitting with me, whatever you were doing while I was crocheting, and very much rolling my eyes at some of the things that Ancient Aliens say, because let me tell you, it's a wild trip down all of that. But, you know, thank you for joining me. If you can, drop a like, hit that subscribe button so I can continue growing and expanding out into the crochet social content creation space. Down below, drop a comment on your current works in progress, what you think of possibly Ancient Aliens. Drop a comment. If you have any ideas on what I can use leftover Lion brand Claret yarn. I know I have some ideas on scrap yarn as well, but if you have any ideas or project suggestions or suggestions on things I should offer for sale once I get that project fully started. I know I'm going to be probably doing more home, not necessarily decor, but usable items, homeware items like pot holders, coffee or can koozies, book sleeves, Kindle sleeves. Obviously scrunchies are always a great hit, so I'm sure scrunchies will be being made in the masses, just because I know there's quite a few people in my area that already do the amigurumi stuffed animals. And not because I'm anti-stuffed animal amigurumi, that's where I really learned to understand crochet, but I don't want to continue to saturate an already oversaturated market. But I don't know how often I'll be posting. My hope is to at least do once a month right now until I can really understand where I'm going and how I'm working. But keep an eye out on long form videos. The shorts, I'll try and keep coming at least once a day. But, if it is more sporadic, just with my schedule, it may end up being more sporadic. But again, thank you all for joining, and I'll see you in the next one.